With the permission of the rabbis, Birshut HaRamanim, I would like to speak this morning about something that has nothing to do with the victory of the Cubs and nothing to do with the elections. You're welcome. So who survived the flood? Who survived it? Noah and his wife, his children, and their wives too, and the animals. Anybody else? Well, the fishes, yes, I know. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, fishes and all that lived in the water. Okay, so I'm going to give you a hint because the Torah doesn't say anything about it, but the Midrash will tell us that there was somebody else who survived the flood. And he interacted with Abraham and with Moses. Yes, very good. Jason has the answer, and he said Og. Who is Og? O-G. That's how you spell it. Og was the king of the Bashan. In preparation for battle against Og, Moshe is told not to be afraid. Then we read in Deuteronomy chapter 3, for only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bed was a bed of iron. 9 cubits was its length. So Og was at least 8 feet tall, big, giant. And he is mentioned at the end. And the Midrash tells us a lot of things about Og. One of them is he helped Noah building the ark. Wow, very nice, interesting. So I'm going to read for you. As the flood water swelled, Og, king of Bashan, sat himself on one of the steps of the ark's ladders and swore to Noah and to his sons that he would be their slave forever. What did Noah do? He punched a hole in the ark, and through it he handed out food to Og every day. Og's survival is hinted in the verse, only Og remained of the remnant of the Rephaim, as I just mentioned. And this is a Midrash, very interesting Midrash. Another Midrash says that the people in the generation of the flood sinned with hot passion. And with hot water they were punished. So the water that came from the flood was boiling water. And on your view, how could the ark travel at all? Moreover, how did Og, king of Bashan, stand? Rather, a miracle was performed for the water. It was cooled at the side of the ark, and it did not affect the ark, and neither affect Og. So everything around was boiling water, but around the ark it was cold water. And Og also survived. So he was a giant, not a New York giant. Sorry, Jason, about that, but and Evan, because you're fans of the New York Giants, yes, all the family, but okay. So he survived the flood and he was a giant. And it is clear from the Midrashim that Og survived too. Now the Midrash goes further and tells us that Og was the person who told Abraham that his nephew Lot was kidnapped. Not only that, but he informed Abraham with bad intentions. He wanted Abraham to go to war and be killed, and he will inherit the land. But he saved Lot's, Abraham's nephew, life. One more Midrash I want to bring this morning. I know I'm bombarding you with Midrashim. This is, I promise, is the last. Moshe and Israel came to the borders of Edrei. They are about to enter the land of Israel. Moshe said unto them, to the Israelites, let us encamp here, and in the morning we will enter the city. As they were about to enter, it was so dark that nothing could as yet be seen. Moses lifted up his eyes and beheld Og was sitting upon the wall with his feet touching the ground. Moshe said to himself, I do not know what I see. These people must have built up an additional wall during the night. Whereupon God said to Moshe, Moses, what you see is Og. Don't fear, because I will make him fall before you. So Moses was afraid of Og. Moses saw that Og was a giant and he was scared. So why Moses was afraid of him? Moses was afraid because Og had one merit. Only one. One merit in a corrupted society. Just one virtue. All around him was boiling water. All around him was awful. And he survived it twice. He survived the wicked people of the Dora Mabul, the generation of the flood, and the wicked people of Sodom and Gomorrah. So why do you think I'm telling you all these midrashim and stories about Og? Why do you think there are such an important production of midrashim about Og? He was a simple person. Okay, whatever. Og, Melech HaBashan. Who cares for Og, Melech HaBashan, the king of Bashan? So I think the reason our sages brought all this production of midrashim relates to a passage later in time of Maimonides' Ilchot Teshuvah, the rules of repentance. A person should always look at himself as equally balanced between merit and sin, and the world as equally balanced between merit and sin. If he or she performs one sin, he tips his balance and that of the entire world to the side of guilt and brings destruction upon himself. On the other hand, if that person makes a mitzvah, brings a merit, one virtue to the world, the balance goes all the way to salvation of the world. So your action matters. And since our action matters, I wanted to ask you another question. What is the symbol of the flood at the end? What you remember from the flood? And Evan and Jessica mentioned it. What do we remember at the end of the flood? The rainbow. And what is God's promise? I will not destroy the world again. Yes, that's God's promise. What promise are we missing here? The promise that we will not destroy the world either. We, the human beings, have not said, okay, God, we're not going to destroy your world, our world. So think of Og. No, an important character at the end of the day. Only one good action, and he moved the scale on his favor. Our actions can contribute to navigate the waters of life better. Our merits can move the scale. It is adding just that action what will make the difference. Think of Og and move the scale towards construction of a better world. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.